Or somebody hit record at some point.
Sure, I think I can record. Please ask the host to give you permission to record. I can't.
I'm going to stop it for a second.
Wow. I lost my PowerPoint there.
Whoa, Nikki, I lost everything here.
Yeah, hold on. Let me.
Nice. Mr. Johnson is joining us. That's nice.
Wouldn't miss it for the world. You're a guest speaker, right? So you and Josh are the highlight. Unless
I'm the host, man.
Ms. Harkins is on, so we're home free now.
Now, can everyone see the presentation?
No, it's just a black screen, John. Anthony, do you have the deck, right? Are you able to pull it up?
I do.
There we go. Has everybody else seen this black screen?
Yeah, I'm seeing the black screen.
I am as well. Now I don't.
There we go. Now we're getting somewhere.
You might have too many things open, John.
I'm not sure how I lost everything, but I did.
Well, as long as Josh, and Anthony, and Junko are here, I think everything's going to be fine.
We got it committed to memory, Jeff. I'm just gonna start rattling it off.
That's what you do best.
The three-part harmony for the national anthem should be
Oh yeah, that's
well
right.
received,
That's
I
right.
think. Junko, remember, you just go and then we'll kick in when we're ready.
Yeah, she starts it. That's right.
I'll set the key, the tone that we sing in.
You guys are, I mean, I'm new to this stuff and you guys are gonna like start singing. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, this
You
is
should
awesome.
That's just to begin with.
All right, good. I love it.
Junko's going to sing. We just, Junko's going to sing. She just will think we're singing with her.
Mr. Johnson, no, you're gonna start singing, aren't you?
Yeah, why not? Darn it.
my bad. I just like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna mute now. So
Are you ready? It's 5:01.
We got a little technical difficulty.
No,
Yeah,
there's-
I'm sorry,
there's-
guys, I'm
there's
losing
a
it.
screen saver.
John, do you want us to share it?
No, I had it.
You catch any fish?
I haven't gone yet.
Oh, well, in that case, I hope you catch some fish.
I'm leaving right after this meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. So we'll just do the presents.
So we have it now. Can you see it now?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, great. Slideshow from the beginning. I think we're good to go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us this afternoon. Associate Town Hall Player Development. Anthony Leone, you're first up on the docket. She's all yours.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it. And first of all, thanks to all the associates on the call, everyone on the call for joining us today. I know 5 o'clock is, maybe a bit of a challenging time to join us. So just really appreciate everyone taking the time out. I hope you guys are enjoying a nice cold beverage. I know if I was at home, listening to this, I probably would be as well. So before we get started, wanted to make sure that we're introducing Josh Alpert, our Player Development Committee Chair, and Junko Suzuki, who just recently got married, and whose last name is going to be Harkins pretty soon. Junko is our PGA Regional League Manager, and who used to run the player development here at the section. So, John, next slide, please. So I'm gonna make, let's see, we'll start here, and as we go, you know, Josh and Junko are gonna kind of chime in, and then I would open it up to the floor. If there's any associates on the call or just anyone in general who has any questions about anything at any time, please feel free to unmute. John, I'm not sure if we have the opportunity to do that. If not, then type in a question in the chat box, and we'll make sure that we're monitoring them, and we'll make sure that we answer any questions that are coming out. So I'm going to start by making a statement, and that statement is lucrative careers are being forged as we speak. There probably has never been a better time to build a coaching business, right? So, you know, with all of the bad things that COVID has brought to our world, there has been some good as well. And, you know, obviously the boom in golf is one of those good things. There has never been as many people interested in the game of golf, and our industry, especially the PGA and the Southern California PGA, has never been as prepared for the influx of players as we are now. So for those of you who are on this call and who are thinking about making coaching your career path, you probably can't find a better time to get started. Next slide, please. So when people talk about player development, a lot of times they might be a little bit confused as to what player development means. Player development is not just coaching or one-on-one lessons, right? So you see here we have two different types of pyramids. Next slide, please. So when people think about player development and with some of the professionals I've dealt with in my time working in this field, most facilities or coaches cater to the I'm an already golfer crowd, right? So you know, most of their students play golf. They have a handicap. They might be looking to lower their handicap. True player development is having a place for all abilities to start and go next, right? So that's really a key. True player development leaders develop a model and structure, a marketing strategy, and are able to scale. So let's maybe move to the next slide, John, and we'll break that down a little bit more, right? So building out a model. So you look here, and this is on the right-hand side, you'll see what we have for our facility pathway. So this is something that we've designed and implemented here at the Southern California PGA, talking about basically what a true player development facility program model is going to look like. So you'll see at the bottom there, we have a place for people starting, right? Golf camps, clinics, group programming. We have a place for people who have never played the game of golf before to start off with. Moving up into the junior league, drive, chip, and putt, and on-course experiences. So that's on the right-hand side there. And on the left-hand side, you'll see Josh Alpert. So we're lucky enough to be joined by Mr. Josh Alpert. And Josh when he started, did not have the luxury of having the tools that we currently have. So this is something that Josh actually developed by himself. So Josh, maybe would you mind speaking to how you think about you know, your pathway at your facility and how you got started developing your pathway out?
Yeah, so that's code for I'm old, for those of you who didn't gather exactly what Anthony said. I've been teaching golf for 20 something years now. Up until this last year, just before COVID, I've spent the last 20 years of my career at a 9-hole golf facility. here on the coast in El Segundo near Manhattan Beach, and effectively started out, and again, as I'm talking to people who are starting their journey to a large degree, I actually did not get into golf initially. I was a baseball player out of college. I played golf initially because I loved playing with my grandfather, and that was my whole childhood experience, is playing with grandpa during summers at Woodley Lakes and some of the valley courses. And so I grew to love golf through the experience and the camaraderie and the family aspect of it, but I didn't play like as a kid growing up all the way through. So when I came back around through some business dealings and some different things to get to a breaking point of where do I want to spend my time in my career, I literally in my 20s decided that I wanted to become a golf professional. I'd always loved teaching. I'd always loved playing the game of golf, and kind of transferred my baseball stuff into how good can I be at golf. So my start literally was I walked in the door of a pro shop pretty cold to the whole thing, knowing that I wanted to teach. And the path that I was set into was, Josh, you're not going to teach until you work in the shop for a year. So I literally spent a year in the pro shop, 40 hours a week. I was able to, after a year, teach just a Sunday clinic for 1 hour. That was all I was allowed to do when I started to. I always wanted to teach. It was the whole point while I was at a facility was to get out there one day. And after a year to a year and a half, 2 years of doing minimal teaching and more functioning around the golf course, I finally I earned my way into the ability to teach a handful of lessons a week. And so that was my start, literally entry-level one-on-one lessons, a few a week, doing 40 hours a week of everything else in life before the time clocked. And then as I progressed into being an instructor, my pathway led me to becoming a full-time independent contractor instructor, teaching one-on-one golf lessons primarily. And then everything evolved in 2006. It evolved into a place where I had a lot of students and I really wanted to specialize with kids and really kind of developed more of an academy feel where I started doing more group class programming. I had a lot of students and cost point was an issue for some people. And so I started putting together programs where instead of it was me being one-on-one, I started working with 4 kids at the same time and then 8 kids. And then I started partnering with some of my fellow professionals teaching 12 kids at a time. So literally everything for me grew from just being a one-on-one instructor to servicing larger groups of people. And it literally organically grew to a place where I started running summer camps in the summer, one summer camp the first summer, 1 5-day camp for 12 kids. And it step by step grew as people started wanting more and word of mouth got out. And I think to Anthony's point, word of mouth at that point was me emailing people because I had a database. It was me calling parents. It was me talking to people at local schools. I didn't have a website. I didn't have a major database. I didn't have an Instagram, Facebook, any of those kinds of ways of garnering larger eyes on what I'm doing. And just slowly did one more class a year, one more program. And built everything from a very, very small place into something that became a year-round program that's had 14,000 participants before COVID and got to that level of things. So part of the message, I think, is that you can start as small as you are, whatever that means. But there is always going to be potential to reach a larger number of people with a larger number of programs if that's your interest to do so.
Hey, Josh, I wanted to ask you a little bit about maybe the bottom of the pyramid, because a lot of people, when they think about player development, again, they're thinking about that one-on-one instruction. You see here in our facility pathway, right? That's two or 3 rungs up our 4-rung ladder there. Someone who's seen you in action at work at the lakes, seen you do a lot of different things, including your play days and all kinds of cool stuff. We had an opportunity to meet briefly with a coach who was considering doing some group stuff, right? So his statement was, everything is so busy right now. I'm so busy that I'm teaching 10 hours a day when I wanted to be teaching 6 hours a day. And, I have a wait list. And you had a conversation with this professional about the concept of doing not just junior groups, because I think sometimes when we think about group things, we're thinking about juniors specifically. Talk to me a little bit about building out your adult group programming. And especially for women too, I think there's like a really cool niche there.
Yeah, certainly. I think that, and I would just say, let me distract myself for just a second. The core central thing to all of this, in my opinion, and feel free to challenge as you go, I think we should remember that the number one reason why people are playing golf is to have fun. Let's just remember that this is all about us having fun. We're learning a game. Obviously, the goal is to play well and to get better at those things. But I think even more than anything, it's to have fun. And if I took each of you in an individual setting for a half an hour and I just work with you on your game, versus if I took 4 of you out into a situation and said, okay, here's a game we're going to play, and I'm going to put 2 of you on each side, and we're going to have this little challenge and competition, and we're going to make fun of each other, and we're going to have fun. The setting that is a group setting is, it's a lot more comfortable for a lot of people than it is even being in a one-on-one situation. And so I think, obviously, in my world of dealing with juniors, there's one thing that just about every kid had in common, and that was they had a parent or 2 parents or opportunities for those things. So there are a lot of people out there who, if you offered a lower priced group setting where the emphasis was, it's not a pressureful setting, it doesn't matter how you do, we're just encouraged, this is a participatory event. Even if you threw out, we will let friends stay together. So if you bring somebody else with you, you can always partner with somebody you know. I think that the group setting is a way to make it much more comfortable for people to want to give it a try, especially for the true beginner. Because if I can bring somebody that I'm kind of scared to do it with, I feel better about participating than just kind of being out on an island all by myself with some coach that I've never met before. It's a softer landing for everybody.
For sure. So if you're an associate on this call and you are thinking to yourself at your facility, how can I get something started? Or we might have something like this, but we don't really have a lot of group stuff, or, we're doing a lot of one-on-one stuff, might not be doing a lot of group stuff. Listen to what Josh is saying. I can tell you, and this is how it works, right? The more people at the bottom of the pyramid, and think about this pyramid, you'll see this in a future slide. The pyramid is actually not a pyramid, it's a funnel. So think about if you turn that pyramid upside down and you're trying to get as many people at the top end of that funnel as possible. So, think about the group aspect from a number of different things. And Josh cued in on something that's, I think, really important, right? So what is a prohibitive factor? What's prohibiting newcomers from seeing a PJ professional for instruction, right? So what are the big things that they're facing? Cost is a huge thing, right? So people might not want to make $150 investment when they're not sure golf is exactly what they want to do, right? So if you can offer a lower price point for that beginning player, I think you're going to hit a lot of keys there. Second thing is, people play golf as a social event. Think about all the people starting golf. It's not about being competitive. It's about being out on the golf course, outside, fresh air with friends, and being in something that you can do with friends for a long time. So that's number 2. So the group things are great because you do have a lot of social aspect. And then think about your life as an instructor. If you can service the same amount of people in a shorter time span, right? You're making as much money by doing less time. So you have less time that you're actually out on the lesson tee. And think about, for those of you who might be giving lessons now, if you're giving 6 lessons straight in a row, I would challenge anyone who, to tell me that they are just as fresh at the 6th hour as they are at the 1st hour, right? So that's something that we need to think about as instructors is, not only how we deal with our time, but the experience we're trying to give our consumer and our customer. So again, if you're just beginning as a coach and looking to get your feet wet in the player development space, clinics and group programming is a great way to start a business. And by the way, that's up top here. Player development is not just coaching, it's a business. So I think that's how we would like a lot of our coaches to think about their coaching for the future. Next slide, please. Okay, so how do we do that?
Anthony,
Yeah.
it's actually, I've been in it for a while, but it's not quite about, the money. So let's just say it's about getting people to, do better. Okay.
No question, right? So yeah, and you're right, Tom. It's not about the money. It's really about time, right? Essentially, that's what I'm hoping to give back to our coaches is to be able to service as many people and to help our coaches share the game of golf with as many people as possible in a reasonable time frame, right? And for those, Tom, who might want to make more money in that time period, I also think that's okay too. But I agree with you, Tom. It's not just about the money. So yeah, thanks for clarifying that. So our Scbj facility pathway checklist. So how do we do this? And I think this was kind of maybe one of the challenges in the past is, if you were to look at an all-star facility like what Josh is running, right? I think, if you maybe spent the day with him or called him, he might share with you some of the stuff, his best practices. But luckily for us, we've gone out and done a lot of research into what the industry leaders are doing, from a basic standpoint. And we've gone ahead and cataloged all of these things for you with a little bit of an explanation behind them. So you can, by the way, this checklist is going to be sent to each one of the coaches on the call today. So you can kind of see, hey, maybe I do this, maybe I don't do this. If there's something on this list that you don't do, and you might consider doing it, hopefully we can help you consider making a change or making an improvement in your facility. Next slide, please. So what are the checklist items? So we'll kind of run down the queue here real quick. A website or pj.com profile with a scheduling portion, right? So if you think about the way business is done nowadays, so think about even in the age of COVID, if you want to order food from your, Thai food down the street. So now I would say 99% of the restaurants have some sort of website with a order tool, right? So, I think technology is moving at a pace, and especially too now that COVID has really accelerated that pace. I think any coach that is serious about putting on a coaching business, they would have a website or at the very least, a pj.com profile. And by the way, I'll take a second to explain what that is. So the PGA has put together a service. It's basically a search tool. Think about Google for golf coaches. When someone searches on Google golf lessons near me, the pj.com coaching website is gonna come up. That's now the first in results. And if you have a profile created, you're gonna the Google search is gonna go by proximity, and your name's gonna pop up there. So it's a great asset and a great resource that the national team has put together with that. On the heels of that .com profile is going to be a scheduling and registration system that not only people are going to be able to see who you are, right? So they can go on the profile, but they can also see your availability if you choose to utilize a registration system, and they can book a lesson with you right there. And that is done as a service, a service as part of your due. So it's at no cost to the instructor other than some time to get ADM certified. And definitely something I would encourage every single person on this call to do. You can do it today. The data capture tool or method, right? So that's something that Josh had spoken about. Basically what that means is when someone takes a lesson with you, instead of maybe texting them or just putting it in a ping calendar, you want to have a place where you can capture that student's information. So it's whether preferably an email, that's going to be the best way of communication in most cases, but preferably a phone number, name, phone number, and email is going to be great. That's really going to help you down the line and making sure you can communicate with your database as to upcoming programs and events. Communication calendar, right? So that's really important for any business. Josh at Good Swings Happens runs a huge summer camp business. It's, he's got hundreds of kids running through various now multiple facilities. Josh, talk to me a little bit about how you communicate your programming with your parents. Is that important to your parents?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that, and just in starting with it, and to your point, certainly the Instagrams and the Facebooks, and even now I actually hit TikToks too. I've talked to some coaches who are doing even more stuff there just because their kids like it. But having an email database, I use MailChimp, that I basically I have all of the people who do a lesson with me. I just have a MailChimp account, and every single time I come up to a new person, or I have a new customer, or I have a new student or a potential student, I add their first name, last name, email address into my system, so that when I send out whether it's weekly or bi-weekly or monthly email, I'm able to just send something that I know that everybody is going to get. And so if you are advanced with it, you can certainly segment people. So you had kids in one email, or parents in another, or adult classes. But even just in general, if you had a massive database as an instructor, and you just had a MailChimp, you could send people just a regular email giving them an update, whether it was a tip, whether it was a swing tip, whether it was an event that was coming up. And it's a very easy general way to get in touch with anybody. I think that's a no-brainer on every level to have that kind of a thing. As you get personal with things, absolutely. I do personal emails with people. I do a lot of texting with people. I do a lot of phone calling with people. I still do a lot of that level of connection, but the thing where you can press one button and hit a lot of people versus doing it in smaller amounts is necessary as you grow.
Okay, I'm going to take a pause here. Michael, Kim, Jonathan, Kevin, is this making sense to you guys? What are we, what do you guys face into? Is this something you guys feel like some of these things you guys are doing, can do, won't do? What do we think? Anyone want to chime in? Can you guys unmute? Won't let you. There we go. Hey, Kevin.
Anthony, how are you?
Good.
So, if you're not just a teaching professional and a working professional managing a facility, I think it's situationally specific to how you operate your facility. My director of golf, Jeff Hockman, and I have been doing the PGA coach. We started last January, and we're able to do 2 to 3 groups on the front nine late in the day when we have times and we can get out there. And of course, as you know, when you're on course coaching, you're going to spend a lot more time than just playing. And so again, if you could take the practical application of what we're trying to accomplish, but practically tie it to how your facility runs and how you're able to manage the sheet. Because at the end of the day, coaching's not on the range, that's a golf lesson. We're gonna coach them to do what we need them to do out on the golf course. So that's the first step. We have our folks play the first 3 holes on one of our 4 golf courses. And to start, these are all entry-level folks. The goal is bogey or better. And kind of a version of a former PGA program. We'll start them out at 100 yards. And if they're able to accomplish the task of bogey or better, we move them back in 50-yard increments each week. It creates a returning customer because they want to come back and they want to slay the dragon, so to speak, and they want to get to the next 50-yard spot. So that's been really successful, although it's starting to heat up here in Phoenix. So they're going away, but we'll hit it hard next fall and see what we can do.
So okay, there's probably three things that you've touched on there that I think is like pretty ingenious, right? You're getting them on course, you're getting them on a group, and you have a place for them to go. So, right, Kevin, what I hear you saying is that you've essentially kind of made your own pathway at your facility. You've done it, right? So, you have a big piece of the puzzle done there. And again, so kudos to you and congrats to you. And thanks for chiming in
Sure.
on that. So you guys can all see.
Actually, I wanted to say congrats, on that. So, man, that is so good what you have done. So that is so good.
Thank you.
So you see here, and we're kind of going to hit on a few things here. I mean, one of the things I think is really good, Kevin, about what Kevin said is getting people out on off-peak time. So this is something I feel as coaches, when we're going back to a facility, and that's really important too, is how are coaches, basically bringing more golfers to the facility, improving it, right? So tracking that, keeping track of that, and that's, by the way, kind of hard to do right now. Unless you have your own spreadsheets or you have, some way of kind of keeping your own internal tracking numbers, or you work in a private club and you can kind of see, someone can ring up, that particular members, they can track how many times they've played. I will say that that's also a solution that the PGA is working on, that hopefully we're going to have a revenue tracking component as part of the PGA.com profile and app, that if you have a student, they're going to also use that app, and they're going to be asked how many times they play, if they purchase a new driver in the past year, et cetera, et cetera. So, but to Kevin's point, I think that's something that, as a coach, you also need to be thinking about, is tracking and sort of showing a facility what your value is. So next slide, please. So here's a quick snip of the back end of the SCPGA site. Not only are you going to have the facility pathway. And by the way, that facility pathway, so that picture there is interactive. So if you click on a portion of that pathway, you're going to be able to find more options as it pertains to each sort of level there. To give you an example, the one-on-one instruction and the specialized, we have a coach chat film with Brady Riggs when he talks about how he went from a starting coach to, he teaches a few tour players. Brendan Higgy is one example, and really a pretty well respected coach in the industry. We also have Junko Suzuki talking about some of the PGA assets that she works with. Obviously, PGA Junior League and Family Cup being two of those assets. And Junko, if you wouldn't mind jumping in here. Give me an idea of why you feel like Junior League and Family Cup. I mean, the great thing is our associates and members have exclusive access and the ability to run these programs, but why do you feel it's important that a PGA professional run these assets as part of their offerings?
Yeah, excuse me, sorry. Yeah, Anthony. The resources that the PGA of America provides through PGA Junior League and PGA Family Cup and even Drive, Chip, and Putt, I think kind of hits the nail on the head with everything that we've talked about from the beginning of this presentation tonight, where through Junior League, through Family Cup and Drive, Chip, and Putt, you're keeping, obviously, it's I guess, a little more focused on juniors, but you're keeping the game fun, and you're giving everyone an opportunity to start somewhere, whether it's through PGA Junior League, that's team golf, and maybe even Drive, Chip, and Putt, because that is a skills-based program, and you're keeping them in groups. And I think something that I would like to highlight, especially with PGA Family Cup that's new this year for the whole country, that anyone can offer at your facilities, it includes all ages. We're encouraging the families to come out. I know earlier, I think Josh had mentioned, the great thing about golf is people want to be with their friends, and it's something that you can play, the sport that you can play for a lifetime for. And if you think about it, it's also something that you can play with your family forever for, right? So compared to other sports. So through PGA Family Cup, we're bringing families together out on the golf course now too, and providing an opportunity for everyone to just, again, start somewhere and have a place to go to next. And through all of these programs, again, whether Junior League, Family Cup, or Drive, Chip, and Putt, you'll notice that you are bringing your families out together to your facilities, and it'll give you an opportunity to create some of those programmings and find what the needs are. For example, Kevin has done a great job, like he mentioned, with creating a pathway for his golfers at his facility. If you want to do a little more junior golf centric, these are some of the opportunities that you could probably figure out by offering, and then seeing what other programs you can build around that.
And then give me an idea. I mean, obviously golf is exploding right now. What are maybe some creative ways people are, hosting Junior League? The tee times are tough to get to come by. I'm sure that's maybe the case for some people on this call. What are people doing in that aspect?
Yeah. So because of the pandemic, especially this past year, we didn't have as many Junior League programs running compared to previous years, but we still had a very successful year through a global pandemic. And we've given the flexibility for facilities to run Junior Leagues in what works best for you and your facility. So as Anthony just mentioned, tee time challenges. Well, we can help you find a time during the day where your course is quiet, and maybe it's obviously no longer the weekends. Maybe it's a weekday, but it's a 5 o'clock start, especially now that the sun's out a little later. And you may not play all 9 holes. Maybe you decide to have your matches be 5 holes, but that's better than nothing, or even if it's 3 holes. But again, just like we were mentioning, or even Kevin's example is perfect by only allowing players or golfers to play 3 holes, and the idea is to score bogey or better. You can do something similar with Junior League and even Family Cup, and just provide an opportunity that way. So we're seeing a lot of different, plans and the way seasons are run this year, especially because of COVID. And but we've also had a lot of success with, the facilities that may not have as many players on their teams are having too many kids register. I shouldn't say too many, but they're seeing a lot of kids coming out wanting to play again, because I think with COVID and everything that's happened, people are looking for something to do, and golf being one of the safest and healthiest sport to do during the pandemic, we're seeing it with the kids too. So I think it's important, even if it's a limited amount of holes or a limited amount of time, especially with your golf courses being so busy, if you can find a window to allow your junior golfers out, I think the parents are going to appreciate it. The families are going to appreciate it, just to include more of the kids out there.
Awesome. Next slide, please. Okay, so, again, Josh alluded to his journey. Josh, you wearing the same shirt in that picture as you are. We need like the.
That is negative. That's a negative, Ghost Rider.
Okay. All right, just like similar. So, I think Josh's journey is just really great. It's inspiring to me. I mean, I love to hear any sort of success stories, but just kind of knowing Josh, getting to know him better over the past year, his love, his passion for sharing the game. And really that's what it is, right? It's, it's kind of like a lot of our coaches doing great stuff in the player development space. They're preaching the gospel of golf. That's kind of how I think about it. So, Josh, thank you for doing that first and foremost. And then next slide, please. And we'll kind of get into your journey. Maybe you can just, again, share a little bit more from a programming standpoint, going from 3 to more than 3 here.
Yeah, I think I just want to just jump back to like kind of what Kevin said. and I think that sometimes it's hard for us to do these things. Obviously, let's say we even had if there's 15 people on a call or 1,000 people on a call or whatever it is, you guys know you're in a unique situation. Your golf course has a different set of rules than the next guy. There's certain, you might be a professional on this call who might just be like, hey, if I could give 5 or 10 lessons and maybe support a program or a class, that would be awesome. There might be some people on this call who would love to just do nothing but teach and get involved in programming of all kinds, whether you specialize juniors or not, and really, have player programming, teaching, coaching, instructing, whatever we're talking about being the central focus. I would say, in my situation, I started somewhere, and that somewhere was literally small with just a very small number of programs. I wanted to do more and more. I love golf, just flat out, end of conversation. It's the greatest game that there is. I care deeply about raising a next generation of people, kids as a central focus, and then through that families and more now in the parent dynamic of things, because there's always an opportunity to change how a parent might perceive things through their children. So that's just important to me. So maybe it's real easy from my chair in that, because every day is a challenge and an opportunity to do something cool. So everyone has their own thing. I think it's important from that perspective. And I think Anthony's kind of hit on this. If you could look at your own self and think, what would be a dream type of a situation that I would do? How much programming, how much of a difference do you want to make? How much do you want to participate in this? And start to list off, well, what does the dream look like as far as how much you want to program? And then you've got to look at the reality of things. How big is your driving range? How many range stalls could you get away with using at any one given amount of time? How much of the putting green and short game area could you use? Would at Kevin's facility, would you be allowed to go out the last hour of sunlight? Start to take stock of who you are and what you would envision yourself being capable of. And then also take an inventory of who is your general manager? Who is your director of golf? What do you need to do? What are the barriers that would limit you from doing those things? And just do your own at home, do your own write-up on what that looks like. And if the reality is you're somebody who would like to do a lot more than it looks like you could do, it would be my suggestion that, again, and I know we had said it's not about revenue generation, but I can tell you right now that the summer camp that we ran a couple years ago netted $35,000 for our golf course, and it was run in an 8-week program, and there was not a single person affiliated with the golf course who touched the program. So we had independent contractors and I had sub-assistants running our summer camp, and our facility made, again, $35,000 hands off. So I think that's important to somebody who runs a golf course if they know that those kinds of revenues are going on.
Wait,
so,
and Josh, can I stop you here and just add one thing? I don't think making money, being a golf instructor, making a good living being a golf instructor is necessarily like a taboo thing, right? I think the whole goal of this too, like what Josh is saying, is like, yeah, you want to make a good living doing this. You want to be able eventually to make a 6-figure income. By the way, you wouldn't be PGA Associates if you didn't believe that, right? I mean, if you're not in this business to provide a good living for yourself, provide a good service for your students, you might be in the wrong place. So, and not to, I hate to put it that bluntly, but I don't think there's anything wrong with being someone who's a great advocate of the game, but who can also make a good, honest living doing it as well.
no question. I mean, they obviously do go hand in hand. I guess I'm just, again, because everybody's in a different situation and motivated by different things, I really do think that the start point from it is, what are you capable of doing? What would you like to do? And start to figure out, how can you start doing more things if that's your wishes and your wants? And I think that, as an associate on this call, and this is back to the advantage, respectfully, that I think that you guys have, that maybe some of us who are older and grayer haired, wearing similar shirts but not the same shirts, is that, you know, there are a lot of people out here in the industry who actually want to help you. And if you reach out to an Anthony Leone, to a Nikki Gatch, to me, or any of the people, Blake Jurgis, folks that are out here and active who want to help, if you have an idea about something that you would want to do and you're like, man, I'm not sure if I could really do that or if I should do that, you have people that you can call to help brainstorm that who want to help you be successful. And obviously even if we go to the, and I think of it from this standpoint, you know, the Jamie Mulligan story of the world, for those of you who know Jamie, I even look at Rick Sessinghouse. Obviously, Rick has become a lot more central with respect to the world of golf because of Colin Morikawa. But these guys, even if you want to be an elite coach working with elite players, every single person started in the quote unquote player development, teaching hundreds of golf lessons, thousands of things. Like you don't start working with those guys, though. Even that career starts with being somebody who does a lot of player programming around your facility. So any which way your individual path goes, diving into this world is going to be necessary. Understanding what you're capable of and what your challenges and limitations are is really, really important as you navigate.
Awesome. Love that. And keys there is, if you need help, like figuring something out at your facility, you running into a roadblock, you have a huge resource of professionals here who have been in your shoes, been there, done that probably multiple times, and who have worked lots of different angles to make sure that they can come to a solution. So starting with Mr. Alpert, and I can tell you that Josh is extremely gracious with his time. He loves helping not only his players, but he likes helping our associates and fellow professionals as well. Next slide, please. So here's kind of the third part, and then we're gonna break out and just have a chat. I think from a section standpoint, one of the things that we would hope, or just from a PGA in general, is that we might redefine the culture of coaching, right? So we're lucky enough to have some people, in the past who have done an amazing job of coaching and being, Jamie Mulligan as example, and all of the PGA professionals in all of the sections. I think, though, moving forward, especially as we move into a post-COVID world, coaching may need to look a little bit different, right? Your job as a coach may need to look a little bit different. So the first thing is, again, treat coaching as a business. If that's something that you're looking to do more of a full-time thing, or even if you're not, I think just having, again, a website, a published schedule of events, maybe a bit of a social media presence, and then an idea of, how much money you want to make, and how many program offerings you would need to provide in order to have those two kind of line up. Second thing would be just embracing technology, right? So, that's the way the world is moving. So if you need help doing any of those things, obviously feel free to reach out to any of us at the section. It's not as difficult as you may think. I know that when the PGA is developing a lot of these new programs, they take all different types of users into account. And by the way, Tom Addis is on the line here. Tom, I'm not sure exactly how old Tom is, so I'm not going to take a venture. He's probably our most senior person on this call. Tom went through ADM certification and has a PJ.com profile listed as we speak. So I'm just going to put out a challenge there. If Tom can do it, then anyone on this call can do it. Again, we
thanks, Anthony.
Yeah.
Tom, I'm requesting a lesson from you as soon as this is over.
Yeah, me too. I'd like that.
It's $25 an hour.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I've received a couple of inquiries, believe it or not.
Yeah, I do believe.
So it does work.
So
Anthony, sorry, real quick too, on that PGA coach, or PGA.coach and the PGA profile, I have gone through the certification myself. I will say I don't have a profile created, but I have tested kind of the ADM program on some of my friends, like kids who are 5 to the ages of 5 and 6 and 7. And I work with them almost every week. Obviously took the last few weeks off, but I've been working with them since August. And the idea for me was, I don't work at a golf course. I don't, that's not my full-time job. Coaching or teaching is not, obviously. And so I found ways to take the ADM program and apply it to and work with them on their school field, and take some of those activities that I've learned on the ADM certification and make golf fun. And it might not be on a golf course, but they're still really enjoying the game, and introducing them to the game in a fun atmosphere is what's keeping them interested and engaged. And I'm seeing the success, and I'm not even working at a golf course. So for those of you who obviously have that opportunity and the position to do so, I highly encourage the ADM certification and PGA.coach, and then creating your profile on there.
Awesome. Yeah, and to Junko's point, I mean, the .com profile, the ADM certification that's part of the PGA programming assets, the portfolio, and it always kind of, it's a little bit perplexing to me when I visit a facility and you have a PGA professional at a facility that's maybe not running a junior league, or maybe not running, not running a PGA asset. It seems like maybe a little bit of a waste of their dues, right? So your dues are going to pay for a lot of these programming assets. And by the way, a lot of these assets can help you, that's vice versa. So if you're running a PGA Junior League team, and let's say, you have a team of 20, that might just very well pay for your dues for the year. How many commercials, with people like Ricky Fowler and all of these great ambassadors, regarding Junior League specifically, that's an opportunity for you to take advantage of the national marketing initiatives that the PGA team is putting together. So, again, highly encourage you to take advantage of those assets. You're the only people able to captain a team. So, use them as a cornerstone, and they're a great way, to get people into different types of programming. You can run a spring junior league team, and then you're having those kids go off into your summer camp, and then they're, maybe doing a fall league, and then they're doing something in the winter. So, all of those things should build on each other. And also, the more you do that, the more it helps us as a collective elevate the brand and the value of being a PGA professional, right? So the more people we have actually, buying in to doing these things, the more value it brings to everyone who's a PGA professional. Next slide, please. Okay, so a little bit more from my perspective, from a section kind of where I sit. And again, we talked about this pathway as being a funnel. There's a lot of different things from, again, the PGA.coach and the PGA.com profiles. For those of you who live and work in Southern California, I can tell you here, our section is, we're doing a little bit more. So, we're featuring our coaches out to our database. We have a database of 40,000 plus people that if you have a .com profile, you're going to be selected. You're going to be one of 4 featured coaches that we blast out every month to the 40,000 plus people in our database who, are golf interested, who, probably are looking for a coach. So, this is not just something that you're doing. We don't want you to feel like you're on an island. We want to help you drive people to the top of the funnel there. So just a little bit more regarding what your section is doing here. And if your section's not doing that, you can also call me and I can put in a word for you, then maybe we can get them to do it for you guys too. Next slide, please. Okay, Josh, this is all you, baby.
This is just kind of what we were talking about before. And I think that this is just an exercise that I just think it's an exercise that we can all just do on the daily. These are the kinds of things that I do on a daily list of what am I going to accomplish today? What am I going to accomplish this week, this month, or however it goes. I think sometimes these things are become very simple when we take stock of where we are now. And if we just answer these questions and keep in perspective that, and look, I'm daunted by a lot of the things that I have in front of me today, tomorrow, next week. And just because I've been doing this for a little while, I've probably never had more challenges in front of me now than I've ever had at any point in my career. And sometimes that's scary and it's a real part of just a real part of things, but I systematically look at where I'm at and I'm constantly taking stock of where I want to be and trying to figure out how to get there. So I just think that, and there's a Goethe that maybe I'll throw out there to you guys. It's a reading that I have on my wall that I refer to, but basically if you just begin things, then there's an energy that goes along with you. And if you're hesitant to start something, it seems like it's crazy to do stuff. Just start small, do something small. Like Kevin was saying, do one day, find 4 people you know and go do a 3-hole challenge on a Thursday afternoon for a free bucket of French fries. Do one thing and see how it goes and learn from it and then take stock. Could I do that on Fridays? Could I do that as a weekly thing? And then I think you'll just find that whatever it is that you do can be doubled or can be done slightly differently. And you can achieve lots of things if you just kind of focus on it that way. So that's, without going too far into it, I'll just keep going and start pacing around the room. Nikki knows me better. I do think we should, I know we're time sensitive here in the evening. If people have questions or want to reflect on this or give feedback, I think we should allow time for that.
Let's do it. Okay, we're gonna start calling on people. Jonathan Soto, are you available to talk?
Yeah, I can talk.
Okay,
Can you hear?
Jonathan. Yeah, you're here. Why are you here? What
I
do you
want-
think of?
I wanted to mainly start getting involved, participate more with the section. Can't play as many tournaments as I like to. Can't attend all the meetings as much as I'd like to. So when I saw the email, this certainly fit in my schedule. So I wanted to participate and engage in. As it pertains to my career, I'm in a rather unique situation here at Alhambra Golf Course. I'm a salary employee, exempt, which means I cannot teach. So some of the topics we talked about today, they don't really relate to me, but, and I've thought about this before, I can be a facilitator to expose people to the game of golf. I like to think of it that way, and it's worked so far. Anthony, you and I just recently tried, scheduling the Junior League qualifier here at Alhambra. You wanted a Sunday, I can't do a Sunday. Saturday works great, so we'll go with that. So I've seen that more of my role in player development, trying to be a bridge. But some of the things Josh talked about and you as well, Anthony, are great, like data capturing. I see that from an operation, standpoint here at the golf course. A lot of what we do, it's trying to get people's emails and share a message that we want to share. So I think that can also be applied with as much value from an instructor's perspective. Try to get that student's email, the father and mother phone number, and communicate. Use them, not just follow up. And I think there's a lot of value in that.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Michael Maple, can you talk?
Yeah. How's it
Welcome.
going, everybody? Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I am a brand new associate. I'm working now at Dad Miller Golf Course under Steve Donor.
Yep.
I've worked with him about 4 years past back at Fullerton, and I took a step forward and went to Rec Park out in Long Beach for a couple of years. Now, recently, October 2020, took the assistant GM job at Dad Miller. So I'm not doing any teaching as of right now. In the past, I've taught Nike junior camps. We have a PGA Junior League that runs once a month or so with Dad Miller. With Robert Stevens has a league that comes out. But yeah, we also have the First Tee of Orange County operates on our facility, and they teach junior lessons daily. So similar to Jonathan, I love acting as the bridge as to what can we do for them and what can they do for us to get these juniors or students or families who don't play golf or don't know much to, hey, this is what it's all about. This is our facility. And those kids love the game, love the lesson, and that gets that many people in the door of golf and that many people returning to the facility 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line as well.
For sure. And that's exactly right, Michael and Jonathan, right? So from your perspective, you're thinking about what happens to our facility post-COVID, right? So it's really difficult right now because golf is booming. There's so many people taking, the tee sheets are full till 6 o'clock at night. But we all know as COVID dissipates and people start getting back to normal life, it's not going to be like that. So, I think Michael and Jonathan, from what I hear you saying is that having a player development, path at your facility, having good coaches at your facility, even though you're not a particular coach, is extremely important at your facility. And you guys kind of recognize the importance of that. So Michael and Jonathan, I really appreciate you guys pitching in. Anyone else? Kim, you want to chime in? Hi, Kim, how are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing well, thank you. So yeah, I work actually at Ping Golf. However, I'm in the level 1 program right now, but I do know that I would want to get into instruction. So after work, a couple days a week, I am fortunate enough I know the head pro and the general manager at a country club that I live close to, Arrowhead Country Club. And they're allowing me and actually my husband to teach there. And so I've been getting my feet wet with instruction and teaching a couple of juniors. After I graduated college, I was actually involved in the LA County Junior Golf Program. I was born and raised in Cali. I just moved here for the job. So, I've always enjoyed working with juniors, especially too growing up playing golf. My dad got me involved in a lot of junior golf programs, and that's kind of where I met all my friends and just how I developed my game. So that's definitely the direction I want to go towards. And I don't know if it's right to say, but my target clientele would be working with juniors and maybe women as well. So when I got the email and I thought this was a great opportunity for me to get some tips and some more guidance as to where to go. Like I said, I don't work at a green grass account. I'm not at a course. I'll be at Ping until I finally finish the certification program. So yeah, I'm just trying to take advantage of all the resources that I have right now.
Well, Kim, call away if you have any questions or need anything else.
Perfect. Thank you,
Thanks
Anthony.
for joining us.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else want to join in? Kyle, Dwayne, anyone want to kind of share your experience, your story, where you're at, maybe some challenges if you have any? They're being shy.
I'll go if
go, Dwayne.
Oh, yeah, okay. I just wanted to say that kind of like Kim, I'm a new associate, just getting started, going through the portfolio portion of the level 1 program. Not so much teaching right now because I still have to pass the pro score of the PAT. However, my introduction into golf was from fitting. I'm certified fitter, master fitter with Callaway, so I do a lot of fittings. And what I find is also I work for Kevin Reagan at his golf course, and we have a something called Launch Monitor that we do on Thursdays, where we look at the swings and the performance of individuals who want to tighten, I guess, their driver, their irons, for instance. And what I find, a lot of people are just misfitted. They have clubs that are too heavy oftentimes, grips that are too small, grips that are too large, lie angles are off. So with respect to teaching, which is something I definitely want to get into, I find that before you even can show people what's wrong in their swing, they might need the equipment that can actually perform better in their hands. Some people think it's a swing flaw, and it's actually an equipment flaw. So right now, that's kind of where I am with teaching, I guess, if you want to link the two. But I definitely want to further that, and I also want to do something with junior golf. I had the opportunity to do a little bit of starting for the Firebirds up at Wickerburn Ranch a week or so ago, and I absolutely loved it. So yeah, I think teaching and coaching is definitely something I'd like to get into.
Awesome.
Dwayne, if you did again, knowing where you're at, if you did a guess your yardage challenge or competition with the launch monitor, so it didn't have anything to do with the fitting from a specific thing, you had one day where you were going to have juniors come out and whatever, they got to hit 3 or 4 shots, and everyone got to use a different club and guess how far their ball was going to go, and they could do it as a game, and then you could use it as an education opportunity with the students to explain what that equipment is using from a fitting standpoint while they were playing a guess your yardage game. Might be a fun little thing to try one day.
I'll definitely take a look at doing something like that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Love that.
Anthony, if I could piggyback on that for a second.
Sure.
So I started doing the launch monitor at our facility probably about 9 or 10 years ago. We do a lot of demo days, and this is our turn where I can have my professionals. We do our own demo day. We bring our own demo equipment out there, so it's not a tech rep from Callaway or TaylorMade or whatever. Although Dwayne does do Callaway, but our community feels a better sense of being fit by somebody they know, somebody they see in the shop every day, versus a tech rep for one of those aforementioned big names. But what I hope to do through the course of that, and we have the launch monitor out every Thursday in season, is to put my professionals in contact with the people and build that relationship. And maybe Dwayne fits the lie angle on the driver a little better, so it's not cutting as much. And now they want to go take a lesson from Dwayne. And so to me, that's all about the professional growth of the associates and the professionals on property. And that's only going to build into their teaching and coaching. And guess what? They play better golf, they play more golf, they're going to buy more balls, they're going to buy more gloves, and everything goes up if they're doing better.
Kevin, thanks for that, and thanks for having Dwayne on, and thanks for being a great mentor. I think that's so key and crucial. That's kind of a cool old school way of doing it. Old school meets new school, so to speak. So appreciate you doing that. I think we're getting close to our time here, closing bell. You're going to be receiving a follow-up email here with a lot of information. Again, the checklist, the resource center, you're going to have access to that. All PGA members and associates will have access to that. This is one of 3-part series. So next is going to be Blake Jurgis, who's going to be speaking next week. And then we have a trainer on the 3rd week who's going to talk a little bit about the X's and O's. So maybe a little bit more about Dwayne's position and kind of how he started, what he feels is important in a lesson. So appreciate you guys joining us and hopping on for our first step in this journey. Please feel free to reach out, like I said before, to any one of us on the call. We love hearing from you. We love helping. The better you guys are, the better we look. So that's what we want to deliver today. And with that, Mr. Kulo, I think we're good, unless Josh or Junko have anything to add.
I'm good. Thank you guys for attending. If there's anything that I can do to support, feel free to reach out. And yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time to be on this evening. We will get this posted on the SCPGA website, and I'll be sending out just a little thank you for joining us this evening, along with the recording of this afternoon's meeting. Thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon and evening, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Catch a fish, John.
I'll
Yeah.
try.
A bunch of them.